Is your humble parish tired of constant litigation? Drained by bloodthirsty lawyers sucking the collection plate dry? Well, finally, no more threats of jail time and public humiliation. Try Father Flanagan's line of inflatable altar boys. Cute little fellas, eyes and mouth wide with surprise, complete with lifelike tears. Father Flanagan's line of inflatable altar boys, coming to a Walmart near you.
Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm your host, the amazing Super Chris Mallard. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Look at that applause even. I hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. My sports ball team did good. My wife's sports ball team did good. Don't tell her I did that. Good morning, everyone. I want to say hello to all the viewers on Facebook. Oh man, I forgot to do the thing at the place at the stuff for YouTube or Facebook. I'll do that in a minute. Good morning, everyone. We're also streaming to Twitch this morning. Hello, and TikTok. Yes, Twitch. Oh, we're doing it. We're actually streaming vertically to TikTok. You know, I had a good weekend, guys. I hope you had a good weekend. Here in a minute, what we are going to do is I dropped a new video for members only, silver level members and above, Saturday, and it's going to go live today, but we on the show are going to watch it this morning here in just a little bit. Okay, I got a thing I almost forgot to do a thing. I'm a bad person. Why do I do that thing? I'm going to run our Wild Bill commercial, and then I'm going to invite all of our friends over on Facebook. I forgot to do that, so give me just a moment here, my friends.
Hello, and welcome to Shakespeare with a Redneck. What the? I am Wild Bill Wigglestick, and I'll be your handsome host, your gilded guide, your cowboy concierge of Shakespeare. Dude, really? Today on Shakespeare with a Redneck, I'm going to perform the prologue from Romeo and Juliet. Damn it, Bill. Two households, both alike in dignity in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Hey, that wasn't half bad. I'm not as dumb as I look. Of course not. You'd be in a coma. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the situation. Bill, two snot-nosed brats ignore the warnings of their learned parents and end up getting 4 people killed. Bill, come on, man. You're always blah, blah, atheist stuff, blah, blah, boring. Say something fun, for goodness sake. What? Particle is a fun word. Bill, particle. Bill, or talk about horses and dogs. People love horses and dogs. Or boobies. Everybody loves boobies. Bill. Oh, can I say boobies on YouTube? If you close your eyes, it doesn't count. Talk about boobies then. Okay, everybody loves those cute little blue-footed bastards. It hurts right here. Culture, baby, coming at you. Avoid bringing a plague on both your houses. A plague on both your houses! By hitting that subscribe button, then that little notification bell. And bang that thumbs up button like frisky cousins at a family reunion. Thank you and take care.
Peace. Well, that's Wild Bill for any of you who are new to the show. Thank you for joining me this morning. Again, I'm just kind of doing a thing real quick. I forgot to shill out to Facebook. You know, Philip Lister gives me permission to shill out to a whole bunch of groups, and I forgot to do it this morning. It really helps the channel, so I thought I'd pop that over real quick. On Maman, and we'll be done. Did you guys have a great weekend? I noticed we've got Spooky Bed Hair in the chat already this morning. James Apperson. There we go. I'm all done. James Apperson. Let's see. Dane. Good morning, Dane. Thank you for joining us. Larry Scar. Giles, you guys are here early this morning. Jess, thank you for being early. Good morning, Jess. Thank you for joining us. Nikki Perry, Sandy, all you wonderful people. And of course, the people watching over YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, that stuff over there. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we've got some stuff. Like I mentioned, my team won, so I'm very happy. My evil wife's team they won, so downer on that. But otherwise, we're doing great this weekend. I dropped a video. I've been talking about it. We talked about it on the show last week, and I actually asked your opinion. Good morning. Let's see. Spooky James, making sure I'm not missing anybody. Michael Bell, good morning. Thank you for joining us. So I talked about last week on the show. We actually went over my upcoming video. I'd written the script, and I was still hammering out the details. The top 10 reasons why Christians should be pro-abortion. Actually, not against it, and not just for people's, what is it, self-autonomy or any of that business. None of that. No, I mean pro-abortion. Because, and we're going to talk about that. I recorded a video. Let me just see here. Child. All right. Just making sure. Good morning, JT. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you there. All right. Oh, you wonderful people. Let me pull back over here, and we're going to start this video here in just a second. There we go. There we go. All right. So again, this is, now feel free to, cuss and discuss it. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat here. Nope. So far, everything is good. You guys are wonderful. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I'm hoping that some of our Muslim friends will come on. I don't think I'm posting in the right groups, the right Facebook groups. I haven't got all the right ones yet. We'll see. I forgot to do my chair. There we go. All right. So let's go. Good morning, Quasar. Thank you for joining us this morning. Morning. Oh, that's right. I hope y'all had a wonderful weekend. I did a lot. I actually recorded 2 videos this weekend, and I got this one here produced, and I've got the raw video uploaded or recreated for the Evil God Monster of Abraham, episode 13. And his Book of Death. Yes, so I've already got 12 episodes up. 13 is coming, and I learned something recently. I am going to be, this is weird. This is going to come off as weird, but I'm monetized to a degree. Once I get to 4,000 hours, which should be hopefully happen in the next day or two, I believe be able to turn playlists into educational playlists. And I'm going to turn my Evil God Monster of Abraham series, actually it's, my analysis so far of the book of Genesis, I'm going to turn that into an educational series on YouTube. That's right. The Atheist Educational Series. That's right. Good morning, Trina's Creative Chaos. How are you doing? Good morning, everyone. She says, I have to work this morning, but I wanted to pop in for a hot minute. Good morning, Trina. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I really need to change that merch thing until I get a better merch. We'll see. Anyway, on with this video that I'd like to visit with you guys. Again, this was the one that currently it's a members only. It's been members only since Saturday, so I've given members of the silver level and above access to this video. I have no members silver level and above. But you gotta put it out there and start developing it for those people. So let me go here and let's enjoy this together. Now, if you're watching on TikTok, I just recently started streaming on TikTok, and today I set up the vertical, so I hope it doesn't look too bad. We shall see. Here we go. Abortion is easily one of the most polarizing topics in the world today. While many Christians align with a staunch anti-abortion stance and are keen to impose their beliefs on others, there's a surprising amount of scripture and theological reasoning that actually supports a pro-abortion perspective. In this video, I'm breaking down my top 10 reasons why Christians should be pro-abortion. Not just pro-choice like the people on the left. No, Christians should actually be pro-abortion. And I'm about to tell you why. Whether or not you agree, these arguments are grounded in theology, logic, and compassion. So let's get started. Number 10, Christianity is about saving souls, not legislating. Jesus never called his followers to impose moral laws on others through government. Instead, he focused on personal transformation and spreading the gospel. Christians should do as Jesus and focus their efforts on spreading his word rather than legislating their dogma. Hell, Thank you for that, Michael Bell. Michael Bell says he already shared the short on his social media. What I've done is it's not available to the public, the full video, but I have been dropping shorts to it so far and just try to see how that works, to see if that gets us more traction. Thank you for sharing it out. I appreciate that. So number 10, essentially Christianity, the Christians should be spreading their message, not legislating it on other people, essentially, is saving souls. Their goal is to save souls, not oppress other people. So that was number 1 on my list of, why Christians should be. You'll see the rest. If they spent half as much time fighting child SA in the Catholic... I dropped my shorts. Yeah. All right, yeah, I think you guys are going to like this. Here Christians government. Instead, he focused on personal transformation and spreading the gospel. Christians should do as Jesus and focus their efforts on spreading his word rather than legislating their dogma. Hell, if they spent half as much time fighting child SA in the Catholic Church and Southern Baptist Church as they do on abortions, so many children could be spared so much pain and suffering. But nope, abortion is the hill they decide to die on. You could almost argue that by forcing women to have children, these mega cults are actually intentionally increasing their pool of potential victims. That line of thinking. Did I just say that? Did I just wait? So what I just said, friends, in the video is that the Catholic Church and the Southern Baptist Church, I'm just naming those two out because they're kind of like the biggies in this field. Those two, it could be said, by intentionally forcing women to have children, those two mega churches, which are known for, we know what they're known for, are actually building up their pool of victims. Yeah, that's why I'm going to hell. I say shit like that. Here we go. Maybe spared so Southern Baptist churches they do on abortions, so many children could be spared so much pain and suffering. But nope, abortion is the hill they decide to die on. You could almost argue that by forcing women to have children, these should and focus their efforts on spreading his word rather than legislating their dogma. Hell, if they spent half as much time fighting child SA in the Catholic Church and Southern Baptist churches they do on abortions, so many children could be spared so much pain and suffering. But nope, abortion is the hill they decide to die on. You could almost argue that by forcing women to have children, these mega cults are actually intentionally increasing their pool of potential victims. That line of thinking may be insulting to some, but their histories justify such criticism. Number 9, criminalizing abortion harms women. I thought Christians were supposed to be like anti-suffering, against suffering. I mean, suffer, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to ease the suffering of the poor, of the whatever, right? It seems like they do exactly the opposite of that, especially when it comes to women. History shows us that banning abortion doesn't stop it. It just makes it more dangerous. Women, often desperate and marginalized, turn to... Good morning, Nostalgic of Abara. Thank you for joining us. Numbers 5, 11 through 31, where God is not only pro-abortion, but he's also literally the abortion doctor. Thank you for mentioning that, Nostalgic. We're going to get to that. Unsafe methods that jeopardize their lives. Christians are called to protect the vulnerable, but anti-abortion laws often do the opposite, putting women's health and lives at risk. How can Christians justify such policies that actually increase suffering rather than reduce it? Unironically, for the followers of an evil God monster, many Christians seem to think the women and their families deserve whatever suffering they may endure. Good morning, Left-Handed Jedi. Thank you for joining us today. Left-Handed Jedi points out Texas has had their third passing of a woman in need of medical care that we know of, and how many times have they not passed but suffered horrendously and had like their ability to have children, never be able to have children again because of things that have happened. You know what I mean? Because of the medical care they couldn't have gotten. It's a very frustrating subject. But anyway, so thank you for joining us this morning. Hey, Left-Handed Jedi, thank you for joining us. And so back here to our video. Number 8. Non-Christians are held to a different standard. The Bible often distinguishes between the laws for believers and non-believers. Forcing Christian moral values on those who don't share their faith is both ineffective and contradictory to biblical teachings. Abortion laws often disproportionately affect non-Christians, raising the question, is it truly Christian to impose such standards on people who don't even subscribe to the same beliefs. Christians often preach a live and let live or you do you boo mentality, but in reality, they are always ready and eager to impose their dogmas on others. Now, I don't think that's an exaggeration. You know, the whole live and let live thing, the golden rule, do unto others, that's kind of how they preach. But the instant they get the opportunity, they're like, do unto others, and then they start telling you what you can do or what you can't do. You know, and we often we complain and lament, oh, like the Muslim country, the Muslim worlds, they're really strict on what women can wear. And they are. Well, we're not going to downplay that at all, but we can't forget that Christianity is the same way. Not as bad, not as much, but you know where the puritanical views come from of, you know, the skirt lengths that kind of rose up and became more liberal as we became progressed further as a society and moved away from those religious oppression of women. You saw things like that happen, right? JT says the law straight up commands it, talking about abortion. Specific cases, I asked my mother what that verse meant during the section of her read the whole Bible study. She said, I don't know. I get it. Let me get back to this before we get too far along. Let me go here. Now, this one I feel is a little, but oh shit. Why did you do that? There we go. Boop. Number 7. Overpopulation and stewardship of the earth. Christians are called to be good stewards of the earth, but overpopulation places immense strains on the environment and resources. More unwanted children often means more poverty, less access to education, and higher rates of environmental degradation. Supporting abortion rights could align with the biblical mandate to care for creation and ensure that the earth's resources are used wisely. Instead, Christians seem to take a God gave us this earth to destroy mentality. Good morning, Phantom X11. How are you doing? You know, do you guys, it's been a while since I've heard their rhetoric about being stewards of the earth. What I more often hear is how they are, you know, pardon me, the earth is here, it's transitory, it's just like a waiting room between now and when they go to heaven, and they can do whatever they want to with it. God put it there here for them to pretty much destroy. And when you run into those arguments is whenever you start engaging Christians, the right-wing Christians, on their views on environmental protection, taking care of the environment, cutting back CO2, that sort of thing. All of a sudden, God put it here for us to do whatever with. And they don't believe that man, I've even heard the argument that God is so big and earth is so huge, they don't believe man actually has the power to alter something like the atmosphere of the planet. Very, very funny. And of course, Left-Handed Jedi, good point. Evangelicals are eager for Armageddon. So it's a very slippery slope with those people. You never know what you're going to get. First of all, you know, the whole attacks on Israel or whatever, you know, there's this notion that whenever all the countries attack Israel, that the end is coming and blah, 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 and that's good because Jesus or some business like that. So they actually root for things like that. Interesting stuff. Let's go on with number 6 here. Number 6. Preventing suffering in an overwhelmed world. Bringing an unwanted child into the world can lead to a lifetime of suffering, not just for the child, but for the parents, and makes a burden on society in general. Poverty, neglect, abuse, and systemic inequality are real consequences of forcing births. If Christians believe in alleviating suffering and showing compassion, shouldn't they support policies that prevent unnecessary hardships? One would think, but that seems to be the exact opposite of what they do, right? Abortion, while a difficult decision, can be seen as a compassionate choice in certain circumstances. Thank you for subscribing, Nostalgic. You know, I want to mention everybody, we've been growing really well. We hit 2,000 subscribers. Let me do this. We hit 2,000 subscribers about a month ago. We hit 2,700 subscribers yesterday early morning, about 3 o'clock yesterday morning. I get up stupid early, 4 o'clock maybe in the morning. I woke up and there we were, 2,700 subscribers. Like, yes, 2,700 subscribers, $26.99. I'm like, what? Okay, that's cool, you know. And then I watched it for, $26.98. And I was like, wait a second. $26.95. I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on? I don't know what happened. I got down to $26.95 and I've been chipping my way back up ever since. So yesterday was a good/bad day for growth. But I was like, yes, 2,700. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Did I miss somebody? No, there we go. All right, back to our thing here. Number 5, preventing overpopulation by non-Christians. These are reasons why you would think Christians would actually be for, if not abortion, at least birth control. At the very least, education about how to not become pregnant or birth control, those things, but they're not. They're against those things as well. Number 5, preventing overpopulation by non-Christians. Here's a more pragmatic take. Christians often limit the decline of faith in society, but by forcing non-believers to have children they don't want, they could unintentionally contribute to a world dominated by people with opposing values. Historically, Christianity has thrived when its followers focused on strengthening their own community, not micromanaging others. Abortion access could prevent the swelling of populations that may further erode Christian influence. It would actually make more sense to have an only Christians anti-abortion stance, so they could swell their own ranks. Now, I've talked about this before on the show that I think... Oh, good morning, Stephen Stevens. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were able to make it home and in time to get to the show. I've talked about this before on the show in that Christians are against abortion. Why don't they make it to where they can't have abortions? I'm saying, have a public registry with the government, a government registry where every church has to register and determine how their views are on abortion. And if you're a member of that church, you thusly have to register. And if you register for a church, you can't have an abortion if you registered for that church. And of course, all the medical facilities across the country would be part of that registry, and they would know, oh, hey, I'm sorry, we can't give you this abortion because you're on that church's roster. That way they can impose this nonsense on themselves and other people, because they love imposing it on other people. But the other people would actually be themselves, the other members of their church. They would be hurting rather than just everybody in general. That's my thinking. So let me go here. Have an only Christians anti-abortion stance, so they could swell their own ranks. Number 4, the Bible does not condemn abortion. Now, this is what we were talking about earlier. Some of my friends in the chat here were pointing out that, oh, wait a second. Oh, good morning, Jesse Bear. Thank you for joining us. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe and get some of my craziness. I've got a new video I'm dropping today. We're going through it. It's currently for members only. That's one of the things that's been for members only since Saturday. So those silver and gold members, I don't have, get to enjoy it first. So I'm not robbing anybody, but we're going through this video that is coming. It's going to be, the full video is going to be available today at 11 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So let me do this. Actually, my mom, guys, I got to do the thing. I got to get the liquid of the bean. So give me just a moment. I don't need long. Is it time for Christmas? Is it Christmas time?
Hello all, Chris Mallard here, atheist extraordinaire, host of the Daily Atheist Morning Show, and currently burning in hell. Oh, don't worry about me, I'm not dead. I'm just down here for the annual Christmas party. I mean, annual Solstice Awards party. The Dark One, or Lucy as he is affectionately known, is personally handing out the awards. Aaron Ra is getting the award for the most souls brought down by evolution for his African fossil hunt, and Matt Dillahunty has won the Golden Phallus Award for being a dick to the most Christians. Oh wait, it's the Golden Fallacy Award for the confusing the most Christians. Easy mistake to make. To top it off, Seth Andrews has lent his voice to the Gregorian chants this year. It's delightfully hellish. Gotta run. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, if you're into that sort of thing, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. A happy holidays, happy solstice, and a happy new year. Stay safe, heathens. Party hard, fornicate, that sort of thing. But do it safely.
Yes, excellent. So now I've got my coffee, and let's get back on here. Remember, we're talking about, this is my video I'm dropping today. It's the top 10 reasons why Christians should be pro-abortion. Not pro-choice, pro-abortion. Why they should actually be actively for it. And this is number 4. First of all, I mean, I think, what number are we at now? Oh, number 4, numero 4. Let me go back to here from my friends, Mon Ami, anti-abortion stance, so they could swell their own ranks. Number 4, the Bible does not condemn abortion. Despite the modern anti-abortion rhetoric, the Bible doesn't explicitly condemn abortion anywhere. In fact, several verses suggest that life begins at birth, not conception. For example, in Genesis 2:7, Adam only becomes a living being when God breathes life into him. Furthermore, Exodus 21:22 through 25 differentiates between the value of a fetus and a living person, implying that the loss of a fetus isn't equivalent to murder. If the Bible is silent or even permissive on abortion, why are Christians so quick to condemn it? Which leads us to number 3. But wait, yeah, because not only does the Bible condone it, that's one thing where the people in the Bible or whatever condone it, or don't condone it, right? Here we go back to there. God performs and actually sanctions abortions. In Numbers 5:11 through 31, the Bible details a ritual where a priest administers a potion to a woman suspected of infidelity. If she's pregnant with another man's child, the potion causes her to miscarry. Now I want to mention I had a person, a Christian, I believe, based on their comment, on my chat this morning, who said that the potion that they were given did not cause an abortion. It caused the uterus to prolapse. And I had to ask the question, friend, and I typed it slowly for this individual, hoping it would be beneficial for them. What happens if there's a fetus? What happens if there's a fetus? Gotta say it slow for these people. In the uterus when it prolapses. And and also notice how is this potion supposed to know the difference between the husband and not the husband? If you notice, that was kind of the deal. The potion only prolapses or aborts the fetus if the woman has been infidelis. Now, I don't know if that's a real word, but I think I made it up. I do want to make a point here that if their potion actually did cause, now you and I both know that this potion could not know between the rightful father and that's just ridiculous, right? So essentially, it was an abortion stuff. But the metric by which it did the abortion or by which it worked is if you have had an affair. So essentially, any woman that this was used upon, and if it worked, if it was a legitimate something that would cause an abortion, a fetus to become aborted, then that woman would be vilified, possibly unalived for infidelity, for being an adulterer. And the evidence they needed would be that the fetus, that the whatever happened, the child was not born. And that would be all the conviction they would need that the woman had slept with another man. That makes sense? That's right. Okay, get back here. Essentially a divinely sanctioned abortion procedure. Additionally, throughout the Old Testament, God takes direct actions to end pregnancies or kill children as part of his judgment. If God himself utilizes abortion as part of his divine plan, who are you, Christians, to oppose it outright? I really just want to kind of go back over that, because whenever I made these videos, or whenever I made this video, which was just the other day, I hadn't worked all that out in my head at the point that actually we know that if this was a legitimate potion, I don't know if it is, but if it legitimately caused either abortions, a fetus to become aborted, or the uterus to prolapse, if this fluid did either of those things scientifically, then it would do it regularly, regardless of who the actual father was. And therefore, by implementing this, it was almost always a conviction of the woman. Every time. Not only did she go through the pain of having that child die within her, but then also she faced the repercussions of being an adulteress back in the Stone Age, when these people stoned you to death. for kicks and giggles. So it just now dawned on me about the added danger for the woman in that case. Thank you for subscribing, Paula. Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Glad to have you. So you see the extra, I'm going to have to revisit that. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's because the Bible loves hating on women. Women are always almost always, exclusively always, women are the villains in one fashion or another. And just by this example, we know. It's crazy talk to think. It's crazy talk to think that somehow back then they had a way of giving a woman some kind of potion, and that potion would know which male had sired the fetus within her. That's just crazy. But if you did that, if that actually worked, where it actually did, if it was an abortion technique, and I got to go look this up to see, then it would every time it would be any man out there who suspected his wife of the mother of his coming child of being an adulteress, he could do this to her, and just it's a death sentence. Wow. Yes. Thank you for subscribing. A new follower. Oh, Gas the Juice. Thank you for following over on TikTok. Twitch. All right, let's get back to this, and so we can see here. Dare you? Now, here's one. As we go forward, especially if we have any Christians in the chat, it would be nice to get your thoughts on this next point as to why you should be pro-abortion, not pro-choice, pro-abortion. Why you should want. This is number 2 on the list. There's an even better one, but depends on your perspective. But here we go. Number 2. Guaranteed heaven for the unborn. What happens to the souls of the unborn when they die? Jesus died to free us from original sin, or so they say, and many Christians believe unborn children are free from personal sin, thus guaranteed a place in heaven. Shouldn't this be what Christians want? But if they force that child to be born into this sinful world, the longer it goes through this life full of temptations, moral failures, and the possibility that it may reject the faith entirely, the more likely it is that that child will fall into sin. Ended up in hell. The reality is, bringing a child into this world may in fact jeopardize its eternal salvation. If the ultimate goal of Christianity is saving souls, abortion could be seen as an assured one-way ticket to eternal paradise. I wonder how... Now, we've talked about this before on the show. Christians, why wouldn't you be pro-abortion if that child... Because once that baby is born... and starts traveling through space and time on our planet, it becomes older and more likely to fall into sin. And once it falls into sin, it risks going to hell. The longer it lives, the more likely it is that soul will go to hell. So by having an abortion, you almost certainly guarantee that soul going to heaven. Where's the bad logic in that? Now, if you argue that, it's a sin to do, we've already covered that the Bible condones it. God actually does it. Now, if you want to argue that the man or the woman or the person, the individual, who commits the act of the abortion, their soul is thus in jeopardy, well, that's okay. We can all get atheists or non-believers of whatever fashion would be absolutely willing. I'm sure there's plenty of doctors out there who would be willing to do it, despite their, that's not a problem. I don't see that as being a problem. Now see, once a baby is born, the Christians lose his. That's absolutely one of the biggest points there. So let me get back to this point though, real quick before we leave this number 2. I just kind of want to point out.
How many souls will be born who will then go on to sin?
How many souls? This is what I'm thinking we should get to. How many souls have Christians forced into hell? Okay, all right, hear me out. How many souls have Christians forced into hell. Now, I say this is because over the years, at least the past 100, 150 years in the United States, there's this 100, let's just do 100 years, there's been this right-wing Christian thing against abortion. Okay? And they've been forcing people to be born. People who would have, if you will, their souls automatically gone to heaven. So they forced them to be born. Those people, some of them did make it through. Some of them did live their lives in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, passed away in the 90s, last century, somehow did good and will make it into heaven. But a great many of them won't. And every one of those that was forced birthed by the Christians are souls that were tossed into hell by the Christians. That would have gone, I mean, you helped shift the balance of the souls going to heaven or hell in the favor of hell. You did that, Christians. You did it. Good morning, Mr. Dad. Thank you for joining us. Let's see, Professor Pink's philosophy channel. Is this a safe place for Nazis? No, it's not. Or did no one notice that he just got money from someone's whose profile name is Gas the Juice? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get, I see what you're saying. Gassed the Juice. That's interesting. I didn't get money from them, though. They were subscribed. I'll have to look that up. No, it's not. Matter of fact, cool. I just now noticed that. I didn't even notice it. Good morning, Iggy Whiskers. How are you doing? Wow, Iggy Whiskers, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us. Iggy Whiskers says, I've been saying this for years. Wish I had been aborted and gone straight to heaven. All right, there are those people who think that, if we're talking about Christian logic, by their logic, by their own teachings, their own logic, they should be, this is like a guaranteed cha-ching straight to heaven. There we go. Forgot I had that on. Here we go. Back to here. Many Christians believe unborn children are free from personal sin, thus guaranteed a place in heaven. Shouldn't this be what Christians want? But if they force that child to be born into this sinful world, the longer it goes through this life full of temptations, moral failures, and the possibility that it may reject the faith entirely, the more likely it is that that child will fall into sin and end up in hell. The reality is, bringing a child into this world may in fact jeopardize its eternal salvation. If the ultimate goal of Christianity is saving souls, abortion could be seen as an assured one-way ticket to eternal paradise. I wonder how many souls will be born who will then go on to sin and will end up in hell thanks to Christian anti-abortion efforts. Christians sending their own folks to hell since long before the end of Roe v. Wade. Before we get... I'm funny, huh? Good morning, Shacklebreakers Reloaded 1. Antitheist in the building. Thank you for joining us. Nice to have you. Let me catch up with the chat. Sandy says, yes, time for a pipe. Coffee cup refill. Yes, I appreciate those. Back when we had the original Daily Atheist Morning Show back in 2019, we actually did Weed Wednesdays, where we would talk about weed and cannabis and all that business. So might have to do that for fun one of these days. Nostalgic says Christians are against post-birth abortion. Yeah, what was God's plan for Jesus? That's right. That is a post-birth abortion. Wow. That's pretty awesome. Way to go. Master Pastor, good morning. Thank you for joining us. There's an interesting group of individuals today. You should, between you and the one who must not be named because he's a fucking douche. But I'm not talking to him anymore because that's just because he just, be a douche. So anyway, but not you, Mr. Pastor Dean. Good morning, Pastor Dean. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. My football team won. I sinned safely all weekend. Anyway, on with the show. Get to number 1. Show me you like what I do and support the channel by subscribing or even becoming a member of the channel. It really does help. I appreciate you. Now, on to number 1 on my top 10 list of why Christians should be pro-abortion. Number 1. Respecting God's given free will. Christianity places tremendous importance on free will. God allows humans to make their own choices, even if they're morally wrong, because genuine love and faith can only exist when chosen freely. In fact, often they argue that the reason God doesn't step Right. Let's go over this. It can only be real if it's chosen freely. And here are your choices. Love me or burn in a pit of fire forever. A lake of fire. Not just a pit of fire, a lake. You know, like wet fire. Not just fire, wet fire. But those are your options. Doesn't feel like a lot of an option to me. Just saying. Step in to stop bad people from hurting good people is because of their sacred free will. So sacred, even God himself. Look, you're just looking at me drink coffee. Look at that. Freely. In fact, often they argue that the reason God doesn't step in to stop bad people from hurting good people is because of their sacred free will. So sacred, even God himself won't cross that line. An example would be you have a sinful bad man and he's going to do bad things to an innocent Christian girl, and despite her tear-filled prayers, God won't step in and stop him. Why? Because that man's free will is so valuable to God that he'll let that man do anything he wants to that innocent child. Isn't her free will, the free will not to be harmed, at least as valuable as his? If Christians believe in respecting God's design for human autonomy, wouldn't that extend to the decision of whether or not to have a child? By opposing abortion, some Christians might inadvertently be undermining one of the most fundamental aspects of God's gift to humanity, free will. A woman's free will to do what she wishes with her body. These aren't our rules necessarily. These are Christians' rules. Whenever, these are things we throw back at them whenever they use some sort of flimsy argument. Well, why did God let that bad thing happen to that good person? Oh, because of free will. Why did he let that bad man do that thing? Oh, because of free will. Another argument could be made that God knows everything from beginning to end. He knows what's going to happen or whatever, and nothing happens without his consent. And therefore, all the bad things that man did, God said he takes credit for. So there's that. Let me just say, coffee good, fire bad. Thank you, Mr. Dad. I appreciate the comment. Watching you drink coffee is what I'm here for. Me too. That says, how big is the lake? How big is the lake of fire? I understand. That'd be one of the things I'd be like, dude, all right. How big is the lake? How hot is that fire? Is that like, jet fuel hot? Or is that like melt steel hot? What are we talking about here? That's a perfectly legitimate question. Let's go back here. All right, so we're kind of there. Boop. Conclusion. So there you have it, my top 10 reasons why Christians should be pro-abortion. And Christians, if you're clutching your pearls right now and you're crying out, what about the children? Well, need I remind you that your God has no problem unaliving children in the most horrific of ways. From Master Pastor says, the Bible... It's moving fast. The chat's getting worse, moving fast, guys. I appreciate you. Love you. The Bible says hell is forever expanding, like my waistline. Maybe, Mr. Dad, maybe I may be saying that. I'm not going to say it, but maybe I could say, I don't know, nothing about nothing. Master Pastor says hell has got plenty of room for all you believers. That's an interesting thought there. I'm kind of curious about that. There are often these, how do you explain or argue against my claim that the God you worship is actually some sort of more like a pit demon? There's no loving, forgiving God or any of that business. Or do you just admit, Pastor Dean, I'm speaking to Pastor Dean and any other Christians, or do you just admit that, my God is pretty much shit. It likes burning and hurting, and that's pretty much its entire bag, and I'm down with that. Anything it hurts, I think is good that it hurt. Anything that it unalived or that it tortured, I feel is good. It must have deserved it because my God. How does that work for you? Is that how you feel? It's people who believe those sorts of things that really begin to worry me. If you ever have any kind of delusional state where you imagine your God is talking to you, we have videos. Matter of fact, I have videos. I played them last week on the show about people who were crazy and thought they actually unalived their children in the name of their God because they were crazy. Or so we say, right? Maybe they weren't crazy. Abraham. Master Pastor, a question for Master Pastor from Robert Madewell. Good morning, Robert Madewell. Thank you for joining us. Says, what about, chat's going by too fast. What did Jesus say about judging others? I think he said, make sure you're touching yourself when you do it. That's why I touch myself when I'm judging it. Oh, good morning, Aftab Siad. Thank you for joining us. I hope I said your name wrong. Why, I'm going to say this if I can, why God given such confused information about him on which we can't believe on him, and why he don't reveal himself, and that I am real, this is false, and that I'm true God. I thank you for your efforts. You speak better English than I speak Arabic, for sure. Good morning. Thank you. That's a good question. One of the things about this God is, all right, I saw this over the weekend. The Bible had to be translated by all these men, so we get all these interpretations of what these men thought about the Bible, blah, 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 blah. But if it was the true word of God, it should be pure, written in a pure language, the pure godly language. But it's not, It would be easily translatable, but it's not. Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic. Good morning, Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic said, once a person goes down the road of believing one BS thing for no good reason, anything can be made to make sense for that person. Reality is just perception, a true alternative universe. There's been this conversation recently about what truth is or what reality is. And those things are very interesting topics. They really are. How people perceive the world is important. It's a lot of that is how they were raised and the influence they were given. That's why Christians go after the kids so early, so young. That's why they're not trying to put the 10 Commandments in every college class. They're trying to put the 10 Commandments in every elementary class, that sort of thing. Good morning, Lydia Green. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a great weekend and stayed safe. Friends, if you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And, even if you're Christians and you like coming and arguing, subscribe, come and argue with us and see what, let us know your thoughts. Be nice. Left-handed Jedi says, good people do good things, bad people do bad things. It takes religion for good people to do horrific things. That's a good point. Master Pastor says, unbeliever equals walking dead. But why? Is it just unbeliever? I mean, is it unbeliever or some shade of bad person? Or is it just unbeliever? Or is merely the fact that you're an unbeliever make you a bad person and therefore worthy of punishment in hell? I made a video one time. Gee, no wonder why they don't get why I get shadow banned. But on this video, it was talking about how, in the afterlife, your goal, you're going to have to come back. And you did this little thing of talking about how you kick in the door of this Muslim family, and you're a Christian and your God was right. And the world is revelations is happening. They can't hurt you. They fire all their guns at you and the bullets just bounce off of you because of the power of God. And then what do? You have to go in there and you have to unalive them by hand. That's your job. You're a warrior of the Lord. And there you go. What are you going to do? And in the video, I really made it kind of graphic. I'm talking about, all right, so now you see their kids in the room and you got to raise the club. And I went through the whole thing. That's your job. That's what you do for being an unbeliever. That's their sin. And you don't think it's like that, but it's like that with your God. There are so many examples of your God telling his people to not just unalive the warriors, but to unalive every man, woman, child, even their animals, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. So I don't know why you wouldn't think that whenever the end comes, you wouldn't be called to do the same to the unbelievers of the world. Whoa, that's crazy talk. Lydia says humans can be horrific. We were made in God's image. No, I threw that last part in there. Lydia says humans can be horrific. That's the problem. At least spirituality attempts to fix the heart. That's poetic, poetic. I like it. Robert Madewell says, my father was a pastor and he is my benchmark when considering those who claim that title. Interesting. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people. I remember being a kid and I had a friend And his dad was, he like coached our Little League baseball and did all this stuff, and did all kinds of things, and then we'd sit around at his house at the night, and he would cuss and yell at the TV, and he'd, playing, there's a little TV like this, and all these things. And I found out he was an ordained pastor, and I was like, wait, you're a pastor? And it that was one of the earliest remembrances I can that the offices of title could have chinks in their armor, that, because I was just a little kid. It's like finding out that people can actually be bad. I don't know. Anyway, I think I saw Nitty in the chat earlier. Did I see Nitty? Good morning, Nitty, if you're there. I feel your presence. Oh, there you are, Nitty. Thank you for joining us. I actually saw, I don't tend to watch a lot of shows. I kind of catch a little bit here and there. I did pop in for a little bit. That's one of the things I've kind of noticed. I popped into your show, and I was looking, actually, to be honest, I was doing sort of a study on other talking heads who do shows like this. And what I was looking for was similarities between how the successful ones do it, like the genetically modified atheist, skeptic, you know what I'm talking about. Pardon me for, if you're watching, sorry. And then also Alex O'Connor, is that his name? And some of the other big ones. I was comparing how they style and look their channel and stuff like that. I was doing research. I wasn't listening to what you said. So there we go. Now back to, let me see here. Let me go back to, we're almost done. We're almost done with the video here. The drownings in the flood of the old. Go back here. I want to go back. Body. So there you have it, my top 10 reasons why Christians should be pro-abortion. And Christians, if you're clutching your pearls right now and you're crying out, what about the children? Well, need I remind you that your God has no problem unaliving children in the most horrific of ways. From the drownings in the flood of the Old Testament to being ripped apart by bears, the Almighty is quite actively for unaliving children. Oh, bears, you ask? Remember the story of Elijah and his curse in 2 Kings 2:23 through 25, which caused 2 mother bears to rip apart 42 young boys. For what horrific sin were these children mauled to death by bears? For simply taunting a bald man, a prophet of God. And sure, Elijah may have cast the curse, but it was the power of God that carried it out. Christians, look at the actions of your God. Doesn't it seem more like the actions of a pit demon than a loving, merciful God? Click over here and watch my video on the top 10 reasons the God of Christianity is a pit demon. There you go. So these are kind of part of the I'm going to go, get that out of the way. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of my list, my video on the top 10 reasons why Christians should actually be pro-abortion. I don't really see a lot of arguments or decent arguments against it. I saw somebody come and go in my chat, and their answer was something along the, I hate that this mic thing, I'm going to fix that to where it stops. It just drives me nuts. Wait. I saw a comment I needed to address from Aftab. Aftab says, I've got some commandments from the real and true God through Angel Gabriel. Those are as follows. 1, stop slavery. I'd be interested to see that scripture, commandment, where you got that from. I'd like to know where you got that from. Appreciate you. The second one, there is no afterlife. I appreciate that one. I've been saying that for a while. And the third one is, I am not involved in your life to fix your problems. These are commandments from God. I very much appreciate at least those latter two. Yep. Let me go. Whoa, the chat scrolls. Yes. So, So let me just make, so Aftab, we're not a fan of spamming. So you posted it. I got it. Okay. Now debate it. Now put your point, now put your argument, because I've been saying, if you're a fan of the Old Testament, God in the Old Testament did not like people. He even says, I don't like you, several times. People disgust me. Every thought in your heart is wicked from childhood, is what God says about men in the Old Testament. And right in the beginning of the Bible, he does not like people. And then he even tells them, he's like, listen, you're only going to get 120 years, tops. And then I'm done with you. There's no way I want to live with you for eternity. forever. And then Christians just kind of made it up to where they could live with God forever. It's kind of, they made heaven and all that business. Interesting stuff. Maybe one of the problems, Lydia says, with atheists is that they read the Bible literally and argue against those points. Well, here's the deal. This is the problem, Miss Lydia, is that pastors read the Bible literally. Everybody out there does. It's this huge discussion is which parts to take literally and which parts are to take figuratively, which parts are just analogous for the way life was, and which parts of the way tell you how you should live life. There's no manual in there. There's no asterisk on every book or every chapter that where God makes a little note and says, this is one you should live by, and another little mark where it's just an X that says, this is just kind of a, none of that. It's just this hodgepodge of, do you take it literally or do you not take it literally? And you don't know. And people take that and they run with it. Adam and Eve, do you really think how many people really believe in Adam and Eve? I don't know how many people really believe in Adam and Eve, but I bet the amount of Christians who believe in Adam and Eve is smaller. The ones who really, truly believe in Adam and Eve, and it's not a metaphor. It's the truth. It's not a metaphor. It's the truth. How many of those actually believe? Right? That Adam and Eve should be, good morning, Van Corno. Right, as historical beings. Okay, so you don't believe in as Adam and Eve as a historical being. So sorry, I got a little distracted from the chat. So how many people out there don't believe Adam and Eve as a historical beings? And yet they're still against homosexuality because it's Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. That's an entire rallying cry for Christianity, to be against homosexuality. Anthony, good morning, Anthony. Thank you for joining us. Can you disprove Adam and Eve? Science already has. Go look it up, man. I ain't got no time for you. Yes, absolutely. Yes, literally, we have disproven the Adam and Eve story. Science has done that. Go look it up. I'm a morning show kind of funny guy sometimes. I am not a historical repository. I just know things and drink coffee. But go look it up. Yeah, we've proven that there was never one time where there was one man and one woman. Now, there was a time genetically where there may have been a single ancestral man and a single ancestral woman. And I want to mention that at one time it was so rough on this planet that there were only about 1,000 humans at some point back in our history. But not at the same time were those two ever remotely related at all. There is no Adam and Eve as you would know it. None. And we have so many examples of homosexuality in nature. I need to fix these glasses. I'm tired of shoving them. So many examples of homosexuality in nature. It's crazy. And you know what else we have? We literally have examples in nature of animals changing their own gender, sexual organs, and the works. We have examples of that in nature happening. So you really should be more if you're into God and all that business, you should not be. That's a good example. Nitty says just because it's natural doesn't make it moral. That's a bad example. Well, I don't know. Oftentimes they do that, but yeah, good point. I don't know how they would argue that though. Really, but they'll find a way. Here's the deal. That's what they want to be against. There are examples, in my understanding, of homosexuality in the Bible by heroes of the Bible, and it was seen as good, but you don't hear about that stuff. You only hear about the vague, don't do this or don't do that. Don't lie with a woman, or don't lie with another man the way you lie with a woman. Well, what if you just do it standing then? Is that okay? What if you never sleep with them? What if it's all just, never mind. I was getting carried away. Humans are given moral statuses, but animals are not. That's a good point. Yes. Good morning, Richard. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope your sports ball team won, if you're into that sort of thing. Hey, Amber, how are you doing? Nice to see you this morning. I hope you had a great weekend. See, that's kind of my thinking. I mean, we were talking about Christians and being against like homosexuality and transgendered people and all this stuff. But you can find examples of that all throughout nature. So I don't really understand why they can, Master Pastor, of course, says, so if there were examples of homosexuality in nature, why wouldn't you want to be like a bunch of animals? Why would you want to be like a bunch of animals? Well, no. See, that's not the point. See, the point is it's an argument against Christianity whenever you go, oh, it's not natural for two men to have sex together. Well, actually, does happen in nature. So you need to mind your business, right? But then you come up with this stuff. Well, why do you want to be like animals? Well, wait a second. You can't have it both ways. You can either seek your nature and be like an animal and it's okay, or you can say it's not okay because animals don't do it. And then you find out animals do it and you're like, shit. That's what happened. Yeah. So. Iggy Whiskers says Adam had a very tiny pee-pee and made up the whole Bible as compensation. Here's an interesting thought, something I'd like to talk about real quick. It just kind of sprung upon my brain. It's very unlikely that women in the Bible are the women like Lot's daughters. Let's use Lot's daughters because that's where I'm going anyway. What are the odds that these girls knew how to read and write back in the day? Just kind of saying. It was not a thing that everybody knew. Even all the men didn't know how to do it. What is the chances that the women knew how to do it? These girls, what do they know? So, who wrote the story of Lot? So essentially, Lot was a PDF file. He assaulted his own daughters and wrote it down in a book. And he got them pregnant. And one of them, I think I even saw it this weekend. I didn't realize this until weekend. One of them's lineage even goes down to that of Jesus. Let me make a note. Is that true? Is Jesus a descendant of Lot's daughters? Jesus. You know what? Let me ask ChatGPT here, because I don't know, but Chat will tell me. ChatGPT will tell me. It knows all. All right, so... Can y'all hear that typing? Okay, good. Ta-da! And I can't even spell it right. Damn thing doesn't want to give me an answer. It's got all this long-winded BS about the genealogy. Isn't it interesting? I'm just going to kind of point out that one of the things here is that I've argued often that the God of the Bible, or that the God of the Bible blessed the children of Lot and his daughters. I mean, it was clearly a blessing, because not only did each daughter get pregnant, point one, each one got pregnant, but they got pregnant with men children, not worthless girls, men children. And three, those men children went on to be the fathers of nations. I mean, there's almost no bigger blessing for a man in the Bible than that. And Lot was already an old man by the time he even got to this point. So another blessing in the Old Testament was a long life. So Lot got all that. Now I want to mention that here in the Bible, this one sec. I saw it. Basically, what happened though was that these two sons, damn it, I saw it and I lost it. Okay, it says, the sons Moab and Ben-Ami became the ancestors of the Moabites and the Ammonites, respectively. Two groups often depicted as adversaries of Israel in the Bible. Isn't it crazy? It's like they create their own bad guys, their own villains. Anyway. Sang-Ji. Good morning, Sang-Ji. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I've made the argument about Jesus, but I think what you think. Send safely, my friends. Take care. What happened?
I
Something's
don't know
making
that I would
noise.
consider myself an atheist activist anymore.
One
Would you
second.
say that you think there is no God?
Yeah, that's
There
actually...
we go. Sorry. Had noise in my ears. I've made the argument that Jesus, or that Mary, here's the deal. It's, which is more likely? Occam's razor, of course. Mary, a teenage girl, bumped uglies with a teenage boy who she didn't want Joseph to know she was involved with, or her and Joseph knocked boots. Which is more likely? Either God magically used his godly phallus and inseminated this female against her will, underage, or her husband, because she wasn't married, her husband did it. She was married, right? She was married. Her husband or somebody else did it. I mean, come on, what's more likely? And then when you go look at the Catholic Church, they have relics. Do you want to know the kind of relics they have? They have the kind of relics where they literally have pieces of hay. You're going to think I'm shitting you. Pieces of hay from the manger in which Jesus was born. They have little pieces of wood. I did a video a few years back on it. A little piece of wood. It's a Christian relic, a Catholic relic. And what it is allegedly part of Jesus's original baby wooden crib for whenever he was born and they carried him out. What happens to that stuff in your family? Do you keep that shit at all? Do they keep this warehouse of things that they moved from place to place to place as Jesus went through his life? They keep a warehouse of his effects so someday down the line, we're going to need this hay from the manger. I mean, that's a gullible group you got over there, man. It's a gullible group. And whenever I did the research on the video, it's been a while. I might have to look it up. I did the research on the video about that relic, the piece of wood from the thing. And allegedly, the earliest they could go back was like 1100s or 1200s, like 1,000 plus years after Jesus allegedly lived and died. Some guy claimed to have this piece of wood that was from Jesus's crib, and he gave it to the Pope, and the Pope gave it to a king, or vice versa. And they worship this stuff today. Sorry, Catholics, if you're watching. Iggy Whisker says, if you look at the Bible from 10,000 feet, you will see the light, and you can stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Ember says, I love how precepts imagine anyone isn't laughing at them. Adorable. Yeah, it's very cute. I see my name there. Oh, yeah. Richard Madsen says, you are neglecting the half-brother of Jesus. Christians assume that Christ is the eldest, but that does not work in the narrative. Interesting. Well, it doesn't really matter. You can make it up as you go along. Yeah. 2,000 years and give or take. How many brothers did he have? I'll even give it to you. Let's say Jesus was a real person. That's great. And let's say he really had a brother. Fantastic. Probably had 2 or 3, maybe. None of that makes him divine. None of it. And he wasn't a Christian. We got to remember he wasn't a Christian, right? He was a Jew. There were no Christians back then. He was a Jew. He went around doing Jewy things. He had the end of his dick cut off whenever he was like 8 days old. He was a Jew. He celebrated Passover. That meal they're having, the Last Supper? I actually think that's a Passover meal is what I could be wrong. But if it's not, then they did. I remember Jesus did celebrate Passover. He was a Jew. Christians, are you not Jews? Why are you not celebrating Passover? Let me catch up with our chat. Good morning. Let's see. Van Corno says, Jesus since birth was fighting for the hay with the animals that wanted to eat it. That wasn't easy. That's true. I recently learned there are a couple of apocryphal books of Jesus's life where it talks about he did horrible things like killing other children. This is whenever he was a child. Stuff like that. I need to go look at those. I'm gonna go find out more about that stuff. Let me do a look over here. Take a look. See, are we still going over here on the TikTok, or has it banned us yet? You know, I remember when I very first started TikTok, they would go really well. And then I got knocked off. And now whenever I go there and I try to stream, it lets me stream now, but I get 26 views. I'd get that in the first few minutes whenever I first streamed. So there's some kind of little block on it. Bum, ba-dum, bum. There we go. Okay, let me get back over here. So, oddly enough, artificial insemination. Would that be by God, you mean? With Mary? Dane Darklight says, Jesus wasn't even his real name. His real name was Bob. Sorry, I don't think I know how to say that right, so I just kind of improvised. It's my imagination. I'll do what I want. Oh, he says the same thing. Way to go, Dane. Is lunch a pre-supper? You know, I don't guess I know. AR, no, his name was Jesus H. Christ. Yeah. I made this one video where this guy's talking about, he's going through and he's going, and Jesus did this, and then he stops himself and he goes, Yahweh, or whatever he says, or Jeshua. And I was like, he means Jesus. Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic. Okay, you got that handle. I see you got that handle. There you go. I'm going to have to change. There you go. Join the channel. There we go. Give me just 1 second, guys. I am going to refill my coffee cup of doom and despair. I shall return.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say, no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
Good morning, Pez. Thank you for joining us. Pez says, God will not be mocked. In fact, he will. I've been doing it for years. And then he says, or she, pardon me, Pez, he, she, and or they says, I pray Yeshua grants you his peace. Let me ask you though, what happens if he doesn't? What happens to me? I've been making this argument, welcome to the show, that your God is actually more like a pit demon than a forgiving, loving God. And that it wrote the book and then said, I'm a pit demon, blah, 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 blah. And he wrote the book, but I'm God. I'm love and I'm mercy. And then it says it's love and mercy, but you look at its actions and everything it does is pit demon-like. Then you take its book, in which it does say it's mercy and love, but yet you look at its actions, and it's had that book for a couple thousand years, and you look at the followers and how the followers act, and it really makes you believe, if you're a thinking person, that this is obviously, clearly, almost certainly, if it's real at all, would clearly be an evil pit demon rather than some kind of loving, merciful God. Wouldn't you agree? And if you're coming here and you're saying, peace be with me, God will not be mocked. What kind of God is that that's not going to be mocked? Is it a nice, sweet, loving God, or is it a vengeful pit demon that's just pissed off and waiting to burn you so it can smell your burning flesh like the human flesh candle that you are, human-scented flesh candle that you are? You see what I mean? Whenever you come in here and you threaten me with hell, you actually, and I know you didn't threaten me with hell, but you did. You didn't threaten me. You implied. But we get it. We know what you're saying. Why would I? Oh no. Why should I worry? God will not be mocked. Why should I know his peace? What if I don't know his peace? Pavel D. Pavel D says God will be mocked. That's right. Elohim, says Jael. There you go. He's got lots of names. Good morning, AR. I don't know if I saw you and said hi to you or not. Good morning. Hope you're doing great. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I hope you're able to sin safely. All of you wonderful people. Now we're streaming to, here's what we're streaming to, my friends. We're streaming to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Trovo, whatever the hell that is. So we're spreading a lot of crazy words. So thank you all for, if I don't see your text, all I see in the thing here is YouTube and Twitch. So sorry guys, if I'm not seeing you. Man, you guys are so wonderful. All right, yeah, so God will not be mocked. That's just kind of my point. You know, what kind of God do you have there? And as we were talking about our video, you know, a lot of people are just now showing up. For those of you who are just now showing up, I'm releasing today a video. I'll drop a link in the chat. It was available for members, silver level and above, over the weekend. And, we've got 2,700. We hit 2,700 people. Look at us. Woohoo, 2,700 subscribers. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, we hit 2,700 subscribers over the weekend. And then it went, like 3 o'clock yesterday morning. And then by like 6 o'clock yesterday morning, it was 2655. We lost 5 viewers, just bam, 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 bam. So, yep, bam, we hit 2,700, guys, almost to 3K. We're heading towards 3K. Once we get 3K, at 5K, I'm going to open my OnlyFans. So, why is it nobody ever believes me when I say that? All right, so back on point, man, on point. So today, I'm going to drop this video. And I've actually got some cool new stuff going on. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me go ahead and put the link here, though, for you. This is my video, and it is the top 10 reasons Christians should be pro-abortion. If you've seen the show and you've been with the show for a little bit, you've heard me talk about a lot of these options, especially the ones where, I mean, Christians, come on, man. You're literally sending souls to hell. You are, Christians are, by forcing other people to have babies that will go on and live in sin that wouldn't have had you not forced them to you know what I mean? You are, Christians. How many Christians, how many souls have been forced to be born that went on to fall in sin and go to hell thanks to Christians? That's a very interesting question. If only there were a God we could talk to. AR says, Satan laughs as God is eternally mocked. Well, I mean, yeah. I was watching somebody else over the weekend. Oh, who was it? Some wonderful lady on the interwebs. And she was arguing about how Satan actually didn't do anything wrong in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, or whenever we're talking about Job, or in the Bible period, but in the Old Testament, stop saying that. When we're talking about Job, the devil says, you pretty much, he only loves you because you take care of him. If you didn't take care of him and he lost his shit, you wouldn't love him anymore. And God says, well, go make him lose his shit. Go do what you want. And then everybody thinks that the devil went and killed Job's family, but it wasn't the devil. The devil may have gone and said, okay, now that barn is going to fall on those people. And he pulled the barn down on the people, but it was actually the power of God that made that happen. And God admits to that in the next chapter. So whenever Satan comes back and they go through what you been doing? I've been walking the world. What you doing? I'm just hanging out here with my buddy Job. And whenever they come back the second time, God says, look how good Job is. Even though you, Satan, moved me to destroy him. Or moved me against him, depends on you know what I mean? So Satan was like a vessel for that power. He didn't actually do it. He didn't kill anybody. He just said, this is what, all right, well, you know what, God, I'll tell you what, let's have that thing over there fall on his children. Okay, the thing fell on the children. Let's have all their people happen over there. And God's like, all right, boom. It wasn't Satan over there killing the children. or his flock or his servants or none of that business. No, it was Satan using the power of God, my friends. Your evil God monster. So, man, all right, y'all are going on about yourself. So let me just go ahead and God killed his son, but let Satan live. That's kind of the deal. Did he kill his son? I've really had that sock accounts. Is Sokka? Socks? Is Socks here? There ain't no Socks here. It's been years. If we're talking about socks and sock account, you're not. There ain't no Socks here. Okay. Anyway, Guitar Dog, God killed his own son. That's the whole deal. We're working on our, I can't talk too much about our new line of flesh candles that are coming out, but that's right. If he resurrected him, he's not dead. Now, here's the deal. This is one of the things I like to talk to my Christian friends about. Listen, if God, or if Jesus knew he was going to, knew it was going to happen, he knew. He went up to Gethsemane to go, I don't want it to happen, because he knew it was going to happen, right? Then he knew he was going to go to heaven afterwards. He knew he was going to be risen. He knew he was going to go to heaven. Right? Then what kind of sacrifice was it? If he was only dead for 3 days, if he knew he was only going to be dead for 3 days, and then raised bodily, come back to life, hobnob around with people who didn't recognize him because he wasn't the same guy, by the way, an impersonator, if you will, and then be raised bodily into heaven and live by on God's right hand for the rest of eternity, then what kind of sacrifice was it? I've made the argument oftentimes that men who've gone into battle and combat, like during World War II, they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know how horrific it was going to be. They got wounded and tore up, and, they got like a leg lost, and then, their side got all mangled up, and they lived for a few days or weeks or months in misery and pain, and then they died. Those people suffered and gave so much more than Jesus. Because Jesus knew it wasn't going to last. He knew he was going to be raised bodily in heaven. He knew the pain was going to end. And then, whenever those military people fought and they got wounded and they won for us, we got our freedom. We didn't have to go ask for our freedom after that. We got our freedom. We won our freedom. It was won. With Jesus, we didn't. He gave his life for all. For Jesus so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, John 3:16. What's John 3:17 say again, my friends? So that those who believed in him will be saved. Not that everybody will be saved. Put my glasses back on. Sometimes I take off my glasses when I see more than I can understand. Maybe it's just because they're shit filthy. They are. Can't help it. Wife gets on to me all the time. Give me just 1 second here now. There's one eyeball. There we go. Aha. I should have a clean pair just in here for the show. That's crazy talk. Oh, there. Now the light reflects once all the dirt's off of them. Sanji says adults and their imaginary friends. So very true, Sanji. So very true. Real quick, guys, I got monetized. So if you're not a member, become a member. I'd appreciate it. Or super chats are available too. So I hate advertising. Just kind of reminding folk. Now, on with the show. I really do. I should get a little advertisement commercial. I'm going to. Do you guys remember Trunk Monkey? I wonder if I could get Trunk Monkey. Hit my Trunk Monkey button, and if you're not a member of the channel, it'll come out and go get you and beat you with a tire iron or throw you into a river. I like it. Ember says, if God killed his own son, what chance do you have? And that's that's one of my favorite videos. In fact, I made a video about addressing Christians saying Jesus will let you die. Why do you think he wouldn't let you die? I mean, he's all about that, especially if you are chosen. And like, you guys are such narcissists anyway, that you found the right God and he loves you personally on a personal level. God loves you. You're already the narcissist, So God killed God to become God. Got it. The whole deal is, here's a notion. Why couldn't God just forgive our sins? Why did he need Jesus' sacrifice? And some people are like, well, because you have to have blood to, blood for blood. But, well, why? Who makes that rule? God makes that rule. And God could say you have apple juice for blood. He could make it where forgiveness was actually a thing. It's not. It's really not. Yes, there we go. Good morning, Genesis. Dragons in Genesis. Hey, how are you doing? I'm way too awesome to be narcissistic. Me, obviously. I think so too. They'll come in here and they'll talk about how I like to sit here and watch videos of myself. I've been accused of, I think even Pastor Dean, because we were watching a video of me. He accused me of wanting to watch, just like watching yourself, don't you? I was like, yes. And I sit here and rub myself under the table. You don't do it? I mean, that's what I do. Wait till my OnlyFans comes out, guys. Oh, yeah. I see, Pavel D. Yeah, I see you got that going on. I see you got that covered because I'm not dealing with that anymore. Screw that. Just catching up with my chat. Okay, guys. So I just want to remind you, I'm going to drop the link once again. Join me today whenever I do the top 10 reasons. I'm dropping a video today. Here's what I'm going to do. Every Monday, I'm going to drop a video. It's going to be probably like a top 10s video or something like that. You guys got to hold me to the schedule. Okay, every Monday, I'm going to drop. Now, bear with me. If my metrics tell me I need to adjust it to like Tuesday or some shit, we'll adjust it. But once a week, I'm going to drop a video. It's going to be like a top 10s or some business like that. On Fridays, right after the show, I'm going to drop an episode of the evil God monster of Abraham. Okay, so we're going through chapters, the book of Genesis so far, right? And we've got 12 episodes up. I've already recorded episode 13. I will be dropping it this weekend, and we're going to go 14 through 26 of chapters Genesis. Then I'm going to go after the New Testament. So we're going to get through this. I may do other ones, like there's other books. I got to do Job, as part of my Evil God Monster of Abraham series. I got to do it. But we'll get there. Let me just real quick, since you guys are like a captive audience, and this is my favorite. I'm going to share this with you guys. I'm going to share this with you at no extra cost. Check this out. All right, hold on. Which one do I got here? Hold on. Wait. Is that the right one? No, maybe not the right one. Let's go here. Is that the right one? No laughing.
Hello and welcome.
There we go. All right, let's check this out. This will also allow me just to unmamo. You're going to like this. If you haven't seen this, you're going to like this. So, like I say, every week I'm going to do a top 10s episode. You know what those are like. Top 10 reasons why Christianity is a blood cult. Top 10 reasons why God is more like a pit demon. And of course, today we're dropping the top 10 reasons why Christians should embrace abortion. But we've also got my Christianity Shame is what I call it, the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. Next week, Friday, we're going to drop episode 13. Here is episode 12. This is one of my favorites.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist. I'm Chris Mallard. Thank you for joining me. In this episode of the Evil God Monster of Abraham series, we'll cover Genesis chapter 12 in the Book of Death, the chapter in which Abram leaves his father's home, moves to Egypt, then he and his sister wife give the Pharaoh of Egypt a sexually transmitted disease. Stick around. Protect yourself from Abram's crotch cricket curse by reaching out and clicking that subscribe button, then hitting that little notification bell. Keep your jiggly bits safe, my friends. Now, on with the show. I have to be honest, these next few chapters, which contain the story of Abram/Abraham, are some of my favorite chapters in the Old Testament. In case you're unaware, the Abram I'm talking about is the same Abram who is considered the father of the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. To catch you up, Abram is a direct descendant of Noah, who is, of course, about 10 generations removed from Adam. Abram, or Abraham as he's later known, is considered the father of these faiths because in subsequent chapters he'll go on to make the first covenant with God, securing the position of God's chosen people for the ancient Hebrews. In the last chapter, we learned of the incestuous nature of his family. One of Abram's brothers married his own niece, and Abram married his own half-sister. In later chapters, Lot, Abram's nephew, will go on to have incestuous sex and subsequently children with his own daughters. So far, 11 chapters into the Book of Death, and every major family or hero is in some way in an incestuous relationship, either implied or directly stated. Who did Cain and Abel have children with to populate the earth? Either their mother or sisters that Adam and Eve produced later. Who did the children of Noah breed with to repopulate the earth? He had 3 sons who had one wife each. At best, it was first cousin on first cousin after that. Then we get to Abram and his family, and the Bible directly tells us they married within their own family. Abram married his own sister, and his brother Nahor married his own niece. By our modern notions, marital incest is not generally something you go around bragging about, let alone writing down in a holy text. But the Bible makes no effort to hide it. Of course, scientifically, we know the harms of inbreeding, such as physical deformities and mental handicaps. And there is absolutely no reason to believe incest wasn't the norm for the entire lineage, from Adam right down to Abram. So what kind of quality offspring could Abram possibly have been? Now, on to chapter 12. This chapter opens with God telling Abram to leave his father's house and that God will make Abram a great nation. So the spry young Abram picks up his bride Sarai and his nephew Lot, and they toddle off into the desert. Well, he's not really spry so much. Genesis 12 verse 4 says,
I be muted. Well, all right, so we're going on about this stuff. Robert, you have a wrench. Use it wisely. But use it. So, there you go. Let me just do this real quick. I just wanted to pause for a moment. I'm not even sure if you're still there. I just kind of, how the chat is, there's a delay. And I'm not even sure what's going on. It's just I like some folk and trust them. So some folk I don't. Some folks I don't trust. So if I trust you enough to go, oh, you're pissed off at somebody, here's a wrench, use it. Back on that though. So this is the episode 12. I don't know if you're familiar with this wonderful part of the Bible, but it is
as he was 75 years old when he left his father's household. And in Genesis 12, the desert. Well, he's not really spry so much. Genesis 12 verse 4 says he was 75 years old when he left his father's household. And in Genesis chapter 17, we learn that Sarai is about 10 years younger than Abram. So we'll pin her at around 65 years old when they leave. They traveled to the land of Canaan, to the great tree of Moriah, then onto the hills east of Bethel. Then they set out for Negev, but a famine forced them down to Egypt. Now, here's where things get really interesting. As they were about to enter Egypt, he says, Genesis 12, verses 11 through 13, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When these Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Wait, what? Yeah, based on what we know so far, Sarai is at least 65 years old and bred from the same incestuous stock as Abram, because they're brother and sister, right? And considering all the hard desert miles she's bound to have had on her and the lack of any modern form of dentistry, etc., I seriously doubt she's the oil of Olay model type of 65 plus. And yet here he is telling her that she's so beautiful, he'll get killed if she claims to be his wife. So she needs to pretend to be his sister. Really?
Catching up, trying to catch up a little bit on what's going on as best I can. So you guys carry on. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Next Friday, we're going to have another episode. I've actually, if you go look, you can probably in my old links find the original episode 13 of the Evil God Monster of Abraham. Am I muted? I'm not muted. Sometimes I do that. I actually, it's still out there, and I just re-recorded it with new tech and stuff. So if you want to, you could probably be sneaky and see it before Friday, but you'll see it Friday.
That's just crazy. So that's how it was done in Egypt back in the day. If you saw a hot gilf passing through the town, the general rule was to murder her elderly husband and take her a prize.
What you do?
Well, maybe. Genesis 12, 14 and 15. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken to his palace. Okay, so this dilapidated desert daisy was so beautiful that the Pharaoh's men saw her and were so taken by her that they felt the need to literally go tell the Pharaoh. And of all the young and beautiful women of Egypt, the Pharaoh ends up going for this.
That's a good one, JT. JT says, I thought Lot's brother was named Few. Yeah.
But you know what? Apparently it paid off. Genesis 12, verse 16 says, he, the Pharaoh, treated Abram well for her sake. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels.
Wow.
So what do you think the Bible author means by for her sake? For her beauty or for her vagina?
You know, thank you, Richard Madsen. I very much appreciate the compliment. He says, boy, Chris, your hair is significantly better. It is probably, I'm not sure, sometime around this time, I don't know if it was before or after this, I started taking, I think it was before this, I started taking finasteride. And it really started helping. Now, I didn't know at the time that they have minoxidil. So I started taking finasteride. Now, here's the deal for those of you who are interested in hair loss. Finasteride is for the back. Minoxidil is for the front. So for a long time, I was doing great in the back, and I didn't know that there was medicine out there for the front. And then I eventually started taking medicine for the front. And then I found out that they have finasteride. That's the old way. Then they have dutasteride. You can get it. It's more gooder and it works better and it lasts longer. So I switched to dutasteride and minoxidil. Now, I also have a blood pressure issue. Minoxidil is also blood pressure medicine. So it's a 2 stones in 1 bird situation. I get my hairs and I get my blood pressure up. So kind of works for those of you who are into that sort of thing. Yes. So I got some affiliate links down there. One of them I really need to get is see if I can find some affiliate links for some of the products that I used for my hairs. Anyway, back to the crazy guy on the channel.
I find it highly unlikely in such a savage land as Egypt is being portrayed that the Pharaoh gave all that wealth just so he could simply look upon her beauty. And if all he wanted to do was gaze upon her granny goods, he could have done that whether she was Abram's sister, wife, brother. That doesn't matter, right? To add to the dripping misogyny, notice the reward doesn't go to her. It goes to Abram. She's used as little more than a streetwalker, and all the wealth goes to her husband. It sure looks like Abram is literally pimping his wife out to the Pharaoh. Is the lesson to be learned here that you can give your sister wife to another man as a method of acquiring wealth? Great moral grounding for a religion. Imagine basing your religion on indecent proposal 2000 BC. So if before seeing this video, I told you that the father of the Abrahamic religion literally whored out his sister wife to the Pharaoh of Egypt for some coin, cattle, and slaves, would you have believed me? Well, here it is. He claims it was out of fear for his life, but it sure seems more like it was a business transaction to me. And didn't he have the power of God to protect him? He was already talking to God. No power there? Anyway, and now, my friends, as if to bolster the notion Pharaoh was knocking.
I want to point out that Master Pastor says, look, once again, thank you for using punctuation, Dean. I appreciate it. Says, look, once again, the Bible exposing the filth of your heart, talking about the heinous things of history, it just exposes your heart and what you're probably into. No, that's not it. I mean, you can claim that. But we just saw the Bible literally talks about how they and I'm fixing to go do it some more. Watch this guy on the screen, this jackass down here. That's over there. Watch. Here you go.
In boots with Sarai. The part you've all been now, my friend, talking to God. No power.
No power there?
Anyway, and now, my friends, as if to bolster the notion Pharaoh was knocking boots with Sarai, the part you've all been waiting for, Genesis 12, verse 17 says, but the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarai. That's right. Sarai gave Pharaoh an STD, which he proceeded to give to his wives and around his household. As you can imagine, the Pharaoh was pissed. Verses 18 through 20. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go.
Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. Notice, despite Pharaoh's anger, he didn't ask for anything back. Instead, he told him to take everything and go, because that's what you do when somebody gives you the cooties. You don't want anything from them. Take your shit and go. And so, if Sarai had an STD, then Abram had it. And like Al Capone during decades of syphilis-riddled adulation, Abram starts talking to an imaginary creature and eventually starts mutilating himself by cutting off the end of his dick. A trick he learned while they were in Egypt, by the way. But let's not jump too far ahead, okay? We'll get to that part soon enough. Fodder for another chapter. So far, though, everything the Bible has had to say about Abram reflects very poorly about his character and his lineage. Yet this horror of a man is a prophet of God? Yep. But not of a kind, loving, gentle, merciful God. No, but this is exactly the kind of prophet you'd expect from the evil God monster of Abraham and its book of death.
Preach!
If you like what I do and you'd like to support my cause, follow the link in the description below to my Patreon and find a tier that works for you. Also, I have some wonderful atheist
I don't have merch.
Again, links in the description below.
I do. It's there.
Thank you for all your help and support. I appreciate it. Remember, avoid getting the prophet plague on your crotch critter by clicking that subscribe button and hitting that little notification bell. Thank you, and take care.
Master Pastor says something. All you're doing, Chris, is interpreting it as a non-believer, and you do a wonderful job. That's my job. That's what I do. I'm a blasphemer. I'm a blasphemer. See, that's my role in life. I am the serpent. I bringeth knowledge of the Bible. See, that's the whole deal. You're right. I'm interpreting it as a non-believer. Yeah. And that's the deal. That's why you Christians impose this stuff on little kids, and that's why you filter it through pastors and indoctrinated parents and try to get them as young as you can, because it's nonsense. And if they were allowed to grow to an older age and adulthood and then examine it with a non-believer's eye, they would find it to be nonsense, just like I do. But they don't. So... Pastor says Chris gives the interpretation of a non-believer who is attached to a feminized divine spirit of sewer trash. I don't guess feminized divine spirit. You don't like women or what? Remember, this is Pastor Dean, the guy who I've made jokes about how somewhere in this guy's room, just look at him, somewhere in his house, he's got a room with a door with a lock on the outside of that door. We'll see it in the news one of these days. I'm a bad man. And since you're here, I like picking on you, at least while you're here, because if I'm gonna make a deal with Robert Meadow. I think you were the one he was talking to. I'm not really sure because I wasn't watching the chat. But I'm gonna ask him to at least time me out. But if he, don't be like that. I got something I want to show you folks because you're fun. Mi burrito está no bueno. It hurts when I pee. There we go. I wrote that right here for you folk. Let's see. Is that the one? That's the one right there. Ooh, yeah, that's the one. Do I like that one? Ooh, let's go with this one. Here we go. Keep this, my homies. For those of you who aren't familiar with Pastor Dean, yesterday I dropped a video describing Christians as little demons who don't argue my points about their faith, but rather just attack me, spitting their vile hate at the truths I expose. Well, literally, while I was editing and getting ready to upload my video, a good, holy Christian, a self-proclaimed pastor, no less, dropped a response video to my morning show and proved my every point correct. Exactly what you'd expect from a Christian, a follower of the evil God monster of Abraham. I come to bring knowledge and understanding of what hideousness their faith is, and how hideous their actions are, and how ugly their God is. And here I am. But the serpent isn't of darkness. The serpent is of the light. Love, peace, mercy. The only people I talk bad about Christians because of their hate. There is no hate like what? Like
you
what?
Say it for me, kids. Say it in the audience. There's no hate like what? Christian love. And thankfully, Pastor Dean has been here all morning, exemplifying everything I say. Carry on, Pastor Dean. You do a fine job of representing your hate faith.
Because they act exactly like you would expect followers of an evil god monster when they read its book of death. You remember the little demons in Constantine, the little demons that you'd see in the mirrors, and they'd get all f***ed up with themselves, looking at each other and stuff, looking at themselves. You remember those guys? Christians.
Christians?
Those are Christians. Imagine that you're sitting there exposing the truth. And you know,
now, in case y'all are wondering, Master Pastor in the chat is Pastor Dean that I'm talking about. He's the one in the video here. So, Pastor Dean, just in case. I saw your comment earlier, Pastor Dean. You said you were from somewhere else. You were trolling someone. That was funny. I was Russia. You said you were from Russia. That's right.
They try to be cool, but you start exposing the truth about what their evil god monster is, and that's how they start acting. And they start just throwing, hissing, and spitting at you.
Morning atheist, you're a liar. Complete liar.
My videos are based on the Bible. I take scriptures and I read them and I go, look at this. But I'm just like, look at it. Look at what's here. And most of the time, I'm talking a good solid most of the time, they don't even bother arguing my points.
Everything that you say about the Christians is a lie. You're a coward. You're a coward. Yeah.
I gotta say, Dean, I mean, these are very catchy little phrases. Me and the wife around here should be like, you're a liar. You're a yellow-bellied liar. Just the way, maybe it's your accent. I don't know. I've got the Texas accent, but we really, I mean this in a good way, like a complimentary, were you not a douchebag kind of thing, good way. But you're very quotable.
Bother arguing my points.
Everything that you say about the Christians is a lie.
It's a lie.
Coward. You're a coward, yellow-bellied, good for nothing. Nothing.
On the facade, they're like, oh, we're peaceful, we're loving, and we're mercy, right? But the instant that you start...
Mr. Peter Schmidt says, hey, Chris, am I blocked or something? Not that I know of. Are you blocked? I don't see anything. I mean, I've seen some of your things. You're talking to Master Pastor. He may not be speaking to you or responding. I don't know, brother. But I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You pry them beyond that, they become these vile, hideous creatures that start wishing horrible things, the worst of things, on the best of people for the simplest of slights.
Oh, I've done all these things. I've done all these things. Oh, I've done all these things. I've done all these things. You've done
That's my favorite part.
nothing. Nothing, you gray-haired bum.
When he engages Hodor mode, that's fantastic. I love that.
On the best of people for the simplest of slights.
Hodor mode.
Oh, I've done all these things. I've done all these things. Oh, I've done all these things. I've done all these things. You've done nothing. Nothing, you gray-haired bum.
And they just spit like little demons.
No hate like what? Christian.
I want to pause here to applaud him on his editing skills. Or
Yeah, Mr. Peter Schmidt, the person in the video is now I gotta say, I don't know how Pastor Dean takes this, but he looks a lot like I used to look. Like I used to wear that kind of clothing. I was built a lot like him. I had the hair coming out the hat. I used to wear the sunglasses. He's got a little more fuller of a beard than I ever had. I never had a full beard like that. Even now, I'm just now starting to grow my beard out further than I ever have. The wife wants me to grow it out like a full. Anyway, so yeah, that's him. That's him.
lack thereof. His message and word clearly weren't worth taking a few moments to figure out iMovie so he doesn't show us his ass for a quarter of the video. I started to put little fart clouds here, but my wife said it would be childish, and I couldn't agree more. Christians, create a response video to me or my show and tag me at the damn show, and I might roast you in one of my videos. Now, on with the Christian hate. He's almost done. And they just spit like little demons. Thank you, hateful Christian, for proving my every point correct.
Much appreciated.
Thanks to people like you, my videos exposing the hateful nature of your religion practically write themselves. Don't forget to subscribe, people, lest you be eternally damned to lesser YouTube channels. Thank you, and take care.
I am hilarious. Am I not hilarious? Just ask me. I'll tell you. That's a lot of fun. So I did notice you. I noticed you dropped another video. I think I started it, but I had other things going on. I've been terribly busy. If I try, I'll get back to it. Dane, there was a yes. Anyway, so I did notice it. I also have another response video to Sam over at If You Will that I got to record. I just haven't gotten there. His brother Sam, if you're watching. The deal with Sam's is like his videos are like half hour long, 20 minutes long, something like that. So for me to respond to it, it's like I got to sit there and it takes several hours to, go through and respond to each thing. And I appreciate his time put into that, but I got a lot of shit to do. And on my list of, Sammy, is Sammy here? The other Sammy? Is Sammy here? Anyway. Yes. Oh, that's Sam. Yes. So yeah, that's kind of, it's just hard to get to. So I'm working on, I'm not really working on, I wrote it. I just need to record it and then edit it. And it's going to take for fucking ever. I just don't want to. So that's kind of my thing. Let me get back up here. Thank you for that. Atheist Joy Destroys Chapter 12. And once again, let me come over here and I want to pop a link for you guys. There we go. So if you, should be a link showing up eventually in the chat there. Yes, that is for the video that's coming out today at 11 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. It is my top 10 reasons for why Christians should actually support and be pro-abortion. Go click on the video. I don't have it set as a what do you call it? A live drop thing. I don't really do that. I just have it go live. I've done the whole live fire up thing. It doesn't work for me. Good morning, 420 Atheists. Thank you for joining us. Let me catch up here. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Nope. Peter Schmidt is obviously anyone else that you'd have to narcissist just to think you can speak for God. Yeah, see, a lot of times they don't get that. Well, but part of the deal is God didn't even speak to the mother of Jesus. An angel did it. So how special are you that the Lord is going to, well, you must have a penis. She didn't have a penis. Well, she did just once, I guess. But beyond that, at least once. But beyond that, it's just kind of why you think God would talk to you. You're special enough that God wouldn't talk to the mother of his own child. He's going to talk to you. That's the whole thing. Mr. Peter Smith says, if you're a pastor, you're probably a dick. You can be both. I want to mention that whenever we first met Pastor Dean, he made the argument, or at least the claim, that he was a pastor, had a large church, and all those things. And I await the proof and validation of that. Yeah. I've been thinking about doing debates and public speaking, and I get people come in here all the time in my chat. And they're like, hey, debate me. I'm like, who are you? Do you have a channel? Are you a member pastor of a church? You have a big church we can debate in front of? I wouldn't mind debating Pastor Dean if he's got a large congregation and we can obviously we want to do it over the live stream, right? Where we could live stream our debate and we could pick a topic and do it in front of his congregation. That'd be something else. Or if you've got a huge, YouTube following or a Twitch following, if you're somebody. But if you're just some jackass sitting in his mother's basement going, I'm going to go show atheists how smart I am today about truth. What'll happen is you'll end up getting ignored by the host. Hi there. Oh my goodness. Hey guys, have y'all met? Holly Dog, I just want to say hi. He's all cold. He's been running around outside. Goodness gracious, you're cold. What's wrong with you, little dog? It's cold outside. There you go. Dane says, Chris, can you unblock the thread on your vid where I handed Joey his ass? He needs to see it. Maybe. I don't know if it's, I don't know. Let me look. See what I got. Bum, ba-dum, bum. I don't know that it matters, Ooh, I got lots of... Well, hi, little buddy. Hold on, let's go here. Held. Let's see if I've got any. I don't show any that I have any that are held at all. So no comments found. So I'm not blocking them. If you've said something, I don't know where they're at. Now, if something happened here in the chat, If you posted in the chat and it blocked you because you're not a boss, I'm not really sure about that, brother. I can't. That's too late for that. Good morning, Ace Trades. Thank you for joining us. We're about to wrap up the show, man. You hit rewind, check it out. It was a pretty good one. We get to see the top 10 reasons why Christianity should embrace abortion, should be pro-abortion. Deconstruction zone. Let me make a note. Saint G says I should check it out. Let me go check it out. I found a channel yesterday, guys, that I enjoy. He's kind of got a similar way of doing things as mine, different, lighting and stuff, but we do kind of similar things. And I've really Mind Shift. Have you guys heard of Mind Shift? Pop this up here.
I recently watched The Return of the King.
This
from
guy.
The Lord of
Have y'all heard of him? I've really been enjoying his videos.
The Rings trilogy, and spoiler alert,
And I just
at
lost
the
my
end of
sound.
the movie, after
My
Sam and
headset
Frodo
went
have
dead.
finally destroyed the One Ring in the Fire of Chasm.
I don't want to play too much because I don't know if it's going to give me a copyright strike or any of that business. But I really enjoy his videos. He's got some good stuff, and I like his layout. It just kind of shows me he's got what he's got here. Is he's got where is it? Why does it hide stuff? Anyway, he's got a lot of subscribers. It just kind of 58,000 subscribers, just kind of validation that if I keep doing what I'm doing, it'll work. I'll get there. I can grow it. There are other people out there who are doing it, who are successful. And I've actually been finding his stuff. His message is very similar to mine. He points out so many things, the story of Lot and all the same horrific things. We have a very similar message. And it kind of validates my efforts. I've been finding that very, very handy. All right, guys, I am off to save the world. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. And we're going to do more atheisting. Sin safely, my friends. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and have a great day.